Oh my goodness. We are live. Students, teachers, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are joining us live, awesome. We are going to have a great next hour. If you're here watching the recording, we are so thankful you found us. Like I say, it's going to be a great hour. Before we get rolling, though, if you've seen any of our lessons before, especially if you're in Canada, you know that we always start things off with a land acknowledgement. And the reason we do this is just to stop and recognize and appreciate these lands that we're on and the people that came before them. So I would like to start this off with a land acknowledgement. I am coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This is Treaty 7 territory, the Indigenous lands of the Blackfoot, the Piikani, the Kainai, Tsuut'ina, Stoney Nakoda, Métis. So many unbelievable rich cultures here in these lands that I'm so thankful to be on. And I hope you'll take a moment just to think about whose lands are you on? Who came before you? And there's a super cool link on that slide, native-land.ca. That's where I learned and continue to learn about the lands around me, and hope you'll do the same. All right, let's get rolling. So we can't see you. We can't hear you. Thankfully, you can see and hear us. Teachers, if you need to pause at any point, if we get going too quickly, you can pause, you can rewind. It's all awesome. And guess what? Your teachers can communicate with us. So teachers, you will see there's a form embedded right beside this video feed. We want you to get rolling. Let us know who's here. Tell us, who are you? What class do you have there with you? What grade? Where are you from? But just let us know in that form, so that way we can do a little bit of communicating with you. We'll keep you working throughout the show. So with that, I am going to bring out two of my colleagues from Logix Academy. You'll see there's Katie, there's Guillaume. My name is Michelle Armstrong. Like I mentioned, based in Calgary, I'm the Director of Events and Community for Logix Academy. We are a company that is so fortunate to be able to work with Google and produce events like this. And we could not produce these alone. You are going to hear me refer to Guillaume and Katie. They're going to be backstage. So Katie, tell everyone a little bit about you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Eklund, and I am a teacher down kind of south from the show. I'm in Big Fork, Montana, in the nice cold weather, and I am excited. I love CS First. I love working with CS First, so I can't wait to get creating with all of you today.
Awesome. And Katie is going to be behind the scenes switching screen shares. So you're going to see I'm going to be asking her to do a bunch of stuff. And we also have Guillaume here. Guillaume, tell us a little bit about you.
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Guillaume. I am from Sherbrooke, Canada, a very snowy part of Canada today. Very excited to be here. I'm a teacher, a consultant. I'm a maker. I love making things with my 3D printer and coding video games. So yay. So today should be a great workshop. Can't wait.
And Guillaume is going to be in the background. He's the one keeping an eye on that form, and he is pushing shout outs to me, and he has already done an amazing job. We have Miss McHenrick, fifth grade class from Fairfax, Virginia. We have a PD specialist in Indiana. That's Carla. Henry Vogt is here from Richardson, Texas, grades 9 through 12. Fabulous. We have Crystal Diaz is in North Hollywood, California. I would love to be in California right now. Oh my goodness, Padraic, you are in Ireland. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, well, Katie, Guillaume, we'll say goodbye to you for now. Thank you for working behind the scenes. Teachers, keep those responses coming. Guillaume is going to get those back to me. But let's see what we're going to be doing for the day. So we're going to meet some Googlers. So we're going to get to meet a few of the leaders from Google. They've got some messages for us. And then we have some real live Googlers backstage that are going to do some coding with us. We're going to talk a little bit about Google Doodles. I wonder if you know what Google Doodles are. Then you guys all get to create your own Google logo. And then we are going to celebrate our creations and then hopefully keep on coding and coding. So we're going to meet our first sets of Googlers. This is a video that some leaders at Google recorded just for all of you to wish us all a happy CS Ed Week. We're going to meet them in just a second. But I have a skill testing question before we get to this video. Skill testing question. If you've ever seen CS First lessons with me, you know there's usually a Googler with me, but she's not here today. I wonder if you know who that Googler is that's usually with me. Tell your teacher and your teacher will put it in the form. However, students, make sure you're behaving. Your teacher is not going to put anything in the form if you are not behaving. So hands up, nice and quiet, and see if you know the answer to that trivia question. And we're going to meet some more Googlers right now.
Hello, everyone, and happy Computer Science Education Week. We are so excited to be here with you today as we explore the world of computer science together. Before we get started, I want to talk about why computer science is so important to learn. First, it teaches you things like how to solve problems and think creatively. Those are skills you can use in any career.
Second, it prepares you for a future where computing will be part of almost everything you do.
And last and most important, it's fun.
We are so excited because today, with the help of some great people, you're going to learn some fantastic new skills and hear all about computer science.
If you're a student, I want to encourage you to keep exploring your interest in computer science. There are so many amazing opportunities available for those with foundational computing skills.
Your creativity, your passion, and your problem-solving skills are essential to building a better future for all of us. So keep learning, keep coding, and keep dreaming big. You can do anything you set your mind to.
Thank you for joining us today.
And happy CS Ed Week.
How cool is that? They recorded that especially for you to wish you a happy CS Ed Week. Really great to see everything Google is doing for this awesome week. Okay, well, should we meet maybe a few more Googlers? Let's see who we have here. We've got Becca and we've got Ernest. Hello, Becca and Ernest. I'm so excited to get to learn more about you. I know we have your pathway to Google, which you're going to dive in, but let's just first, Becca, give us just a quick hello. Tell us where you're from and I don't know what you're excited about today.
Hi, I'm Becca. I'm coming to you from Mountain View, California, one of the major places where Google exists physically in the world. And I am super excited to make a fun Google logo today with y'all.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Becca. And Ernest, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Ernest Holmes. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia in the US, which is one of our newer offices that we have here. And I'm super excited to share my story and hopefully inspire more of you guys to get into computer science.
Love that. And both Ernest and Becca are going to tell us a bit more about themselves, and they are going to be coding with us. So I'm excited to see what they have. But before we get to their official introductions, 6AB Liskar. That's a class. You guys know who you are. You knew it was Sandy. Sandy Curry is usually with us, and I know she's out there watching. So a huge shout out to Sandy as well. Great job. Teachers, keep those responses coming in there. We hope to give lots of shout outs throughout the hour, but why don't we take a look deeper into Becca and your path to Google?
Yeah, so I learned to program originally with a product called Scratch, which is actually one of the things that we're kind of going to be interacting with today through the product CS First. So it's a block-based programming language. I learned to program using block-based programming. That's what y'all are doing today. So the stuff that you're learning is definitely applicable if you want to go into computer science in the future. And I think it's an awesome way to learn because it simplifies a lot of stuff and lets you get right down to the meat of programming instead of worrying about like typing on a keyboard or all of those syntax issues and all of that stuff. It just lets you do all of the fun parts of making the computer do cool stuff. And from there, I started working on a project called Blockly, which is even a layer deeper than Scratch, which is code that actually renders all of those little blocks that you use to program. So I write code every day to help y'all code at a higher level, which I absolutely love. So did an internship with them, worked with some other products that also use Blockly, and eventually became internal working full-time at Google.
Amazing. Love it. And yes, I love that you started with Scratch. That's what we're going to be doing today, Scratch for CS First. Maybe teachers, let us know in the forum how many of you have already been working with CS First. Let us know in the forum. I got to give a couple shout outs too as well. We've got some Frederick Hutchinson, you are here very interested in learning about CS and creating logos. Uh-oh, it looks like maybe the video is unavailable for some of you, but have no fear. We're going to have that recording. So if you're watching the recording, you finally got to us. That's the thing with technology, isn't it? Rebecca Brown's PS 220, you are not an expert, but your students love it. That's the way it goes, right? Okay, we'll do a few more shout outs in a little bit, but let's learn a little bit more about you, Ernest.
Yeah, sure. So I'm originally from New Jersey, up in the East Coast of the United States, but I went to school down in Atlanta, Georgia, to a historically Black college, or HBCU, called Morehouse College. And that's where I studied computer science and mathematics. And actually was the first time I got introduced to Google and the amazing products and efforts, and more importantly, the internship that Google has. If you don't know what an internship is a 12-week experience that normally happens during the summertime that you get to actually join a company and work on the amazing products that the company makes. So I was very fortunate, but I was able to do 3 internships at Google over in Mountain View, California at our headquarters. I worked on so many cool products like things in ads. I got to work on this cool robotic machine learning flower that you might see right behind me. And it led me to my full-time offer in 2019, where I worked as a software engineer on the Fuchsia products. So if any of you guys have a device in your home that says, and you say, "Hey Google," and you get to talk to it and it tells you different things like the time or the weather, I helped work on the operating system or the code that sits inside that machine to make that work, which is really, really cool. I threw on here as well. I started my own nonprofit organization called Code House. That's all about getting students of color into tech and the tech industry. So we provide scholarships and mentorship to students who are interested in getting into the tech industry. And now I get to work on a cool team called Education Equity as a technical program manager. So I work on 2 programs where we provide different courses and classes for college and university students that they can get credit back at their schools. So I love and I'm very, very passionate about computer science education, and I get to do that on a daily basis now.
That's so great, and so many opportunities out there that you're also helping to create. That's amazing. Say, Ernest, you've got those fun little hats with the propellers. Can you tell the students just a little bit, what exactly are those? Are those real?
Yeah, so there's so many benefits at Google, right? Whether it's nap pods when you get tired, or the ping pong tables, or the free food everywhere. But the best benefit that you get every year that you intern, or when you first start as a new Googler, you get this cool, fun little hat called the Noogler hat. So I think I have 4 of them in my house somewhere at this point.
I love it. Becca, do you have a Noogler hat?
I do indeed. I have 2, one from my internship and one from becoming a Noogler.
That is great. Okay, well, a couple more shout outs, you guys, because we have lots of students joining us. Scott Warland says, Harper and Nora Jean have been using Scratch as part of CS First. Great job. Mrs. Mechanic's class has also used Scratch a whole bunch. We have grade 6 Millen Woods in Waterloo, Ontario is ready to code. Glad that you are here. And Amelia Farior, pardon me if I pronounced that wrong, their 8th grade class uses Lessons in CS First and loves it. I love it too. Okay, let's get rolling so we can get to that coding. So today we're going to be coding Google logos, Google Doodles, if you will. But students, we're going to ask your teacher again, put into that form, what Google Doodles do you know about? Which ones might be your favorite? But again, make sure, just put up your hand. Your teacher will call on you and let us know in that form, what Google Doodles do you know of? I will tell you, the first Google Doodle was this one here. It was kind of a joke, actually. The founders of Google were going to be away at a concert, and so they created it just kind of to let everyone know. So that's how Google Doodles were born, and they came into interactive doodles like the Pac-Man doodle is kind of one of my favorites. But let's go over to you, Becca. If you were to say your favorite Google Doodle, what would it be?
My favorite Google Doodle is this one about Grace Hopper and her 107th birthday. So, Grace Hopper is a very famous female computer scientist, probably the most famous one, because she invented higher level computer programming languages. So, like we talked about how Scratch is very high level and lets you get really close to the meat of programming without having to deal with any of the fiddly bits. Grace Hopper was the one that first thought that that would be a really good idea, and she worked hard to kind of populate that throughout the field of computer science.
Love that. And that's the whole goal of these Google Doodles, right? Is to celebrate, the awesomeness that's around us, which is so great. Love that one. Ernest, what is your favorite Google Doodle?
Yeah, and the theme of like celebrating famous people in the technology industry. My favorite Google Doodle is the one for Jerry Lawson's 82nd birthday. If you don't know who this is, he is responsible for creating video game cartridges. Sorry. That's all about like how you can store your favorite video games back in the day. I guess nowadays you just download everything, right? Straight to your Switch or your PS5 or whatever. But without him, we wouldn't have had all our favorite video games on our cartridges that we wish we had.
Wow, amazing. I had never heard of that one. So I've learned something new. And students, you are teaching us all something new. St. Paul's High School in Ottawa, you guys like the garden gnomes. I haven't seen the garden gnomes. I'm going to have to look it up. We have the circuit doodle, and that's room 34, Herdman Barstow. Oh, wait, not circuit, cricket doodle. Haven't seen that one yet. Mrs. Gill's class loves Pac-Man, Christmas, the historical ones, of course. Wow, we've got Miss Austin 7-8 likes Magic Academy, Cinco de Mayo, which is Rebecca McGuire. Okay, oh my gosh, there are so many here. We don't have time for all of them, but thank you, teachers and students, for giving us your input. I'm going to have to go look into all of those doodles after this lesson. Well, we are getting ready to code. Oh, we put Ernest and Becca backstage because Ernest and Becca already know the instructions on what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to give them a bit of a head start on coding, but I'm going to give all of you a little bit of background and some more instructions so we can all get coding. Have no fear. It's going to be about maybe 5 more minutes, and then we're going to dive in. So get ready. The first thing we need to do is talk a little bit about, well, what is CS First? CS First is Google's curriculum to help students use block-based coding, Scratch for CS First. It gives you videos, it gives you starter projects, it tells you exactly what blocks to place so you can get started and then you can do your own thing. But it makes coding super easy. And today we are doing the CS First activity called Create Your Own Google Logo. And like I said, Scratch is going to give us this starter project. We already have all of the Google letters as our sprites ready to go. It's pretty cool. If you haven't seen it before, it's awesome. So I need you to start kind of thinking, what do you want your Google Doodle to look like? And we're going to just watch a little bit of one of the videos inside CS First, but just know there are so many others that can teach you how to code. But first, we're going to check in with Olga. She's going to just give us a little bit of background before we start coding.
Hi, I'm Olga. I'm a proud Latina Googler, and I work in our computer science education department. In this activity, you will program and design a Google logo. Google often creates special logos called Google Doodles to celebrate holidays and important people, places, and events. There's a core team that creates Google Doodles. This team is a combination of artists and programmers called doodlers. In this activity, you will be the artist and programmer for your own special logo. You might celebrate a real or imagined holiday like Ice Cream Day or honor the life of a famous person. You could even highlight your favorite hobbies and interests, like a sport or activity. As you create, you will learn about computer science concepts doodlers use every day, like events, sequencing, and loops. After watching this video, select and open the starter project linked on this page. Hi, I'm Olga.
And there was Olga back again. So we didn't watch the whole video, but just know Olga, she already gave us that background. Inside CS First, there are so many Googlers that have recorded videos to help give us context when we're coding and give us instructions. So Olga said to open the starter project. Okay, you guys who don't know where that starter project is yet, don't worry. I'm going to be giving you a link in a second, but I want to just give you a bit more background. All of these videos that you're going to find in CS First end with this big instruction page telling you exactly what to do, and sometimes it tells you exactly the blocks to place. Today, we have a whole bunch of videos we could watch. So we're going to start creating our Google logo, and I'm going to do some coding. And those of you that are brand new to this, you can just follow along with me. I'm going to take us through step by step. But those of you that feel a bit more comfortable, if you want to watch the videos and learn something other than what I'm doing, go for it. Coding is all about trying and exploring. So we might change the color of our logo. We might change the costume of our logo. We might make it dance. We might make it spin. Think about, what do you want your Google logo to do? Which add-on do you think you're going to choose? So we'll get you into CS First in just a second, but just start thinking about, what kind of fun things might you want to do with your Google logo? So like I said, all of those videos, you're going to watch them and learn how to do everything. And then at the very end, it gives you the summary of the exact blocks you need to place. How much better can that get, being able to learn how to code alongside these lessons? All right. Are you guys all ready to jump in and get coding? Here are your instructions, students. So we're going to go through this a couple of times. So teachers, don't worry if you don't get in the first time. I'm going to explain everything again. But students, this is now your time. Listen up. You have a device in front of you, hopefully. If not, you'll be able to watch me code. It'll still be fun. But if you have a device in front of you, you need to go to a brand new tab. Type in g.co/csfirst/logo, and that's going to get you to the Create Your Own Google Logo lesson. So g.co/csfirst/logo. Once you're there, just like Olga told us to do, you're going to open that starter project. And that's going to open up Scratch for CS First. So there's that link again if you missed it, g.co/csfirst/logo. Once you get there, open up that starter project, and you're going to get into Scratch for CS First. Those of you that already have logins for Scratch for CS First, hooray! It's going to save automatically for you. So you'll go ahead and sign in if you already have those accounts. But you know what? Don't worry about it. Today, if you don't have a CS First account, that's okay. We can still continue without signing in, and I'll show you how to save later. So you've got the link, you've got the starter project, you either signed in or continued without signing in. Oh gosh, I sure hope these instructions were good. Teachers, this is where you now need to let us know in the form once you are ready, once you're into CS First. I'm going to go do this one more time where I'm going to walk you through everything. So if you're not quite there, take a look up at the screen and I'm going to walk us through it right now. We'll switch over to CS First, where You will see that I'm going to just switch over
I'm
to
Olga.
that.
I'm a
Hopefully
proud
that-
Latina Googler, and I work in our computer science education department.
Olga, we're getting too excited here. I forgot to share the proper tab. That's why Katie didn't switch it. She's like, Michelle, you didn't change it yet. There we go, Katie. Can you flip on over to my CS First slides? There they are. Thank you, Katie. So students, if you typed in g.co/csfirst/logo, that takes you to this page here. And Ramsey Mooresville, you guys are almost ready. Holy Mrs. McKendrick's 5th grade, you're already in. You're already starting to work. Nice job. Okay, you're at this page. You click on Starter Project. Then it takes you to a page that looks just like this. For today, I'm just going to say continue without signing in, so that way I remember to show you how to save at the end. But if you have a CS First account, it's going to save automatically. And then you are here. So with that, let's just check in on our Googlers just to give you guys a little bit more time. We've got Miss Batu's classes ready to go, but let's bring Becca and Ernest back just to check in with them. We know they're ready to go, but while we're giving students just a chance to get caught up, Becca, which one of those add-on videos did you choose to do?
I am playing around with the costumes of my Google letters, and I decided to play with some frogs. I think I might even make them jump a little bit.
Ooh, I like this. And I love that it's like, I might do this. You're not too sure where it might end up. That's kind of like coding, but you're going to work with those costumes. I love it. I think that's what I'm going to do too. Ernest, which one of those add-ons did you choose?
Yeah, I'm looking at the jumbled letters because I have like this idea of a space-themed Google Doodle. So hopefully I can get that to work.
Okay, that's awesome. Those are totally exactly the two that I was planning on doing as well. So this will be fun. It'll be interesting to see. I have a feeling our doodles are going to be different. But why don't we let you guys go backstage again? Keep on coding. Students, we are going to make the assumption that a lot of you are ready. Looks like if teachers, if you are ready, if you can let us know in the forum, please do so. This is also one of those points. You may need to pause this feed, and that's okay. We'll be here back when you unpause. And students, this is where we ask you, be patient. If you're having trouble getting in, take a look. Did you type the link in properly? Once you type that link in, there it is again, the bottom of the screen. Then you will hopefully be at CS First, and then you click that starter project, and then you'll be where I am right here. So we'll look for another. We have 6A, B, and Lisgar. You guys are all ready. Ramsey is all ready. Phoenix, Arizona. Miss McGuire's class is ready. Scott Warland, ready. Miss Quigley is ready. Nadia Noble, you guys are all in. The Johnny Carr 8th graders, they're ready to start. This looks good. I feel like we are ready to go. So I'm going to get going coding. I'm going to put this up full screen so that you guys can see my code. I'm even going to zoom in a little bit more just so it's a little bigger for you to see. So a reminder, students, if you are fairly new to this, I'm going to take things nice and slow. You go ahead and follow me. But if you are brave and you want to go back to those videos that you're going to find right underneath Olga's video, all of those add-ons, if you want to learn on your own, you go right ahead. Maybe turn your volume down a little bit though, so it doesn't get too noisy in the classroom, but it'll be a good learning noise if it does. So, all right, here we are. My first activity, I want to switch the costumes. So just like Becca is doing there behind the scenes, she's switching the costume. And the first thing in the video that it told me to do is we need to grab an event trigger. So we go to the Events tab. So students, this is where you might have to be looking up at the front and then look down at your computer. Oh, look back at the front. But our event trigger for this one, we are going to grab when this sprite is clicked. I'll zoom in on that so you can see it. So that's going to be the trigger for our code. As soon as we click on the sprite and all of those Google letters, those are sprites. When I click on that sprite, something is going to happen. And what I want to do, I want to change the look. I want to change the costume. So if I click on that looks menu over on the left-hand side, those are the purple ones. Click on the looks menu and you should see next costume. So I'll grab that. And so when I click on my sprite, oh, be careful. Make sure, everyone, that you notice that, oh, I wonder, that seems to be a bit of a black bar on there. Not sure why. Hopefully you can still see my G sprite. Make sure whichever sprite you are clicked on, that's the one you're coding. Because you see, if I go over to the letter O, wait a second, there's no code there. I have to code each sprite separately. So I am clicked on the G. I brought in my event trigger. I put in my next costume, and look what happens when I click on the letter G. Boop. Huh! It changes. And it changes to all of the costumes that are pre-loaded inside CS First. So I want to show you where those costumes hide. So students, take a quick peek up at the board, and you'll see over up at the top, beside the code tab, we have this costumes tab. And look at all of these costumes. Whoa, all of these are preloaded in that template. And there's different costumes for the O's, different costumes for the L and the E. But that's what our code is telling it to do. When I click on my sprite, it's going to boop, 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 change costumes. But I think maybe what we can do is turn off notifications because someone is trying to call me. Doesn't that always just happen? All right. We want to program this, though, so that it's just going to keep changing costumes forever and ever and ever. So we're going to grab some loops right now. So I'm going to go over to the left-hand side, and we are going to click on the control menu. And the control menu is where we're going to find our loops. And inside control, look what happens if we grab this forever block. If I drag that over, I should be able to snap that boop in there. And now, forever and ever, when I click that sprite, it's just going to change costumes. Whoa, whoa, that's a little fast, don't you think? I think it might be a little bit fast. Let's stop that. All right, we need to add a little something here to make that not quite so speedy. So we're going to next grab a wait block, which, there it is, just right up above. Wait. Let's just slow this down a little. We could wait 1 whole second. We can even change that number. We could change that to 0.5, maybe 0.1. The smaller the number, the faster it's going to change. Let's try 0.5. And look at that. There we go. And our logo is changing when we click our sprite. So students, take a look just up at the screen. If you are following along with me, I'm going to zoom that in a little bit more. There's our first bits of code. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to check in on Becca and Ernest again, and we're going to ask them a little something about some of these features that we were using. Becca, Ernest, sorry to interrupt your coding. Ernest, so we know you are a computer programmer by day. I don't think you're using block-based coding though, are you?
No, it's a little more advanced than that.
But are you using like event triggers? Is that a thing in your coding?
Yeah, let me see if I can showcase something. This is like one of the products that I used to work on, and like the Google Home device. And let's say for any instance of you saying, "Hey Google," that can be considered an event trigger for you to do whatever you're going to ask your Google product to do, right? So you say, "Hey Google, what time is it?" Then the device knows to go and tell you what time it is.
I don't know if you heard that
Oh,
you
sorry.
go home. So thank
Yeah,
you.
that happens to me all the time in meetings. Sorry.
No, but that's so great to know. Like, okay, different things trigger things to work or not. In our case, we click on the sprite. Love it. Okay, Becca, question for you in your day-to-day coding. Again, just to confirm, you're not doing block-based coding either, are you?
Only for testing.
Oh, interesting. Love that. Makes sense, right? But tell me a little bit about loops. We've got a forever loop in here, but how are loops important in your day-to-day coding?
Yeah, so loops are super important whenever you want to do the same thing multiple times in a row. So like here, we want to go to the next sprite and the next sprite and the next sprite. We want to do it several times. So we just put it in a loop because that makes things a lot more simple. Another thing where it's really important is when you're working with data. Everyone talks about data now. Data is so important. And loops are really helpful when you have to do stuff based on a list of data. So like, for example, say you want to like send emails to a bunch of people. You have a list of all the people you want to send an email to. You can loop over that list and do the same thing for each person.
Well, makes sense. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd be like just going next costume, next costume, next costume, next costume. This way, it just automates it. Love it. Okay. Well, Becca, Ernest, we only have maybe 5 or 8 minutes left of coding. So we're going to let you go backstage and keep going. Students, I'm going to do a little bit more code so that we can at least have a good base of what we're doing. So let's go back to my code and let's see what else we can do with this. All right. So first of all, we know if I click on the letter G, my code is there. But if I click on the letter O, there's no code. So I could just go ahead and just code the same thing, bring the same blocks over, and that will be just fine. But I have a trick for you. We are going to make this super simple. So students, this is one thing you may want to stop what you're doing. Take a look up at the front because I'm going to show you how to copy your code from sprite to sprite to sprite. So you're looking up at the front. Here we go. When I grab my code from the letter from the letter G, look at what happens when I drag it down here. Now I'm still holding on and I'm clicking and dragging. Everything turns blue, but that's not what I want to see. Oh, do you see? Whoops, let me go back and grab that. Did you see that O wiggled? I'm going to get down there. Come on, wiggle, wiggle. It's a little bit tricky. Let me try up here a little bit. There it is. You see how that O wiggled? As soon as that O wiggles, if I let go and go to my O, it's like magic. Poof! I put the code right from the G over to the O. I'll do that one more time. So I grab my code, drag it over, and then wait for that wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh dear. It's a little tricky when I'm so zoomed in, but that's okay. Wiggle, wiggle. There it is. Now I have code on my O's and my G. So if I click on my letter O, oh, there it goes. It's changing. It's costumes. And this one's changing costumes. And this one's changing costumes. So that's a nice, easy way for you to copy and paste your code. So hopefully that is working for you. It does look like there are a couple of technical difficulties out there. Students, you might need to do some troubleshooting if things aren't working. Teachers, absolutely pause this feed, rewind, see those instructions again. It looks like some of you are having trouble finding those add-ons, but I'm going to show that one more time because those should be there. So this goes out to 6AB and Lisgar. You guys are looking for those add-ons. This is the main page you got to. And then you went to the starter project. And then down below, ta-da, there's all your add-ons. So you have to go back and forth between your tabs, but hopefully that's probably pretty, you 6AB and Lisgar, you guys got this. All right, let's go back to our code. If you are having any other troubles, do post them in the forum. We'll try to help out as many of you as we can. But like I say, just pause, rewind. Hopefully you'll get that sorted. All right, love it that we have Kathy Siebel is helping us know why loops are important. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Gallanty, your class is rocking it, creating cool logos. Snyder's here. You're working away. Love it. Okay. The next add-on that I want to work with is the one that says we're going to jumble the letters or make them jump around. So let's go over to the letter G, the small letter G. And I watched the video and Olga was able to tell me these instructions. So I'm going to do them here for you. So Olga told me to grab an event trigger, but this time she said, oh, when the flag is clicked. So that means I don't have to click on the sprite. I can just click that green flag and make things work. So you can decide what you want to trigger your sprites. All right, she's told me that I need to have a loop in this as well. This time, so remember your loops are in the control menu. We don't want a forever loop this time. We only want this to repeat. I'm going to go 10 times. You can choose whatever number you like. But we're going to repeat a movement 10 times. And that movement, we're going to find that in the motion blocks. So up at the very top, in that blue menu, the motion menu, we want to make that sprite go to a random position, just like anywhere, randomly. And we're going to repeat that 10 times. So let's see what happens. When I click the flag, my G, oh my gosh, it went pretty fast again, didn't it? Let me try that again. It just goes to a random position. Let's grab that wait block again. Do you remember where that wait block is? It's down there in control. So we go to control. We grab the wait. Now let's press our flag and try it again. And, oh, it's a little bit slower. That's good. I like it. But, oh, hang on. It ends up I want it to go back home. I'm going to so students, this is something that's very helpful because there's no reset button in Scratch or Scratch for CS First. There's no reset button. So we have to code things to reset. So you see what I did there? I grabbed my G. It was way over here, but I grabbed it. I put it back where it belongs. And then you'll notice just down below, it gives me those XY coordinates, its location. It's kind of like his address. He's at 88 and -1. So watch what happens when I go back. I'm going to grab one more motion block. So back in the blue blocks, instead of going to a random position, at the very end, want it to go back home, which the block already knows. 88 and -1, it's going to go back home. I'm going to make this a little bit faster. And then let's press that flag. And it went home. And I can press these, get them going, press my flag. Woohoo! So there is our first little bit of code. But guess what? We're we're out of time for coding today. But students, we still have to see what Becca and Ernest were able to create. So let's bring Becca and Ernest back. And students, I know you likely did not have nearly enough time to finish your coding project. That's why we sure hope your teacher is going to do lots more coding with you. Before we check in with Becca and Ernest, though, I want to make sure you know how to save your work. So remember, students, if you are signed into CS First, it saves automatically and your teacher can see it. But if not, you just need to make sure to go to the File menu and just say Save to your computer. And that way that Scratch file will be on your computer. And then when you do get a CS First account, you can upload it and keep working. So with that, teachers, please let us know in the form what kind of things were your students able to code in that very short time. But let us know what were some of the things they were able to code in their logo. Let's start with you, Becca. Did you have time to do everything you wanted to do?
I did. It was very fun. And I think I had a little bit of an advantage being able to work while you were talking.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, Becca, we're going to switch over to your screen. Here it is. Let's see it. You can zoom in. Yep. Let's see it big screen and let's see what you got.
All the little frogs jump, and then the last frog eats the fly with its tongue.
Okay, wait a second. Show that one more time. Run that again.
Yeah. You watch its tongue go, and it eats the fly.
Ooh, yours is definitely much more deliberate coding. Mine was just kind of like random. But I like how you made them just go slowly. And then, yeah, tell us just quickly, what did you use in your code?
Yeah, so I use some of the other movement blocks that Scratch has. So instead of having it repeat a movement over and over, I use this glide, which lets me put an exact time. So that was really helpful because then when I did the dragging and the wiggling to copy paste my code, I could add weights up here to make sure that all the frogs went one after each other. So this one waits 0.1 seconds and this one waits 0.2 seconds, so the first two can go, etc. And I time them all just like that. And then I have this tongue that I separated out. So you can watch the tongue get bigger and bigger and bigger until it eats the fly. And then it tells the fly that it gets eaten and the fly disappears. And then the tongue goes back into its mouth.
I love it. Okay, so you drew that tongue yourself, is that right?
I stole it from this costume. This costume had a tongue and I moved it to its own sprite so I could code it individually.
Amazing, mixing and matching from costumes, and you chose the specific costume to start with. Very, very good. It sounds to me, Becca, you've had a little experience coding in Scratch. Very, very well done. Students, your teachers are letting us know. We got Miss Ramsey's class in North Madison Elementary. You're still working. Some of you are doing movements. Some of you guys are trying to get multiple sprites in there. We have the Mrs. McGuire's 8th graders, costume changes, background changes, tropical themes, animals, costumes, and yay, you guys copied your code to those new sprites as well. Miss McKendrick's 5th grades, you changed costumes, you're moving the letters around. Those of you out there, if you aren't quite able to get things to work, that's part of coding, isn't it? Just take a breath, maybe walk away, then come back, maybe get a friend to take a look at your code. But yeah, sometimes you need to do some troubleshooting, but keep at it. All right, Ernest, I'm excited to see what you got. Let's take a look.
I don't know if I could beat the frogs. I love that. But like I said, I was trying to do like a space theme. And so I saw the jumbled sprites video and I was like, okay, I love the chaos of it. So what I did, it goes jumbled all over the place. All the planets are colliding. And at the end, there's a surprise, a little rocket ship launch at the end.
Love it, to unveil the letter L. Dun, dun, dun.
There you go.
Tell me about your letter O that looks like a planet. Was that a sprite that was in there already?
No, so I actually had to go ahead and look up new sprites using this button down here. And I looked up planets to see what existed. And I saw the Earth and Planet 2 that I think is Saturn.
That's That's cool. So you bring in your own sprites. There are some sprites there already in that starter project. This is really, really cool. Well, do you know what? We have to kind of go into a little bit of homework, I think is what we need to do. Let's go back to that slide there. Katie put it up on the screen. Students, as you know, every lesson, there has to be homework. Today, the homework is for your teachers. So students, you're going to have to make sure your teachers do their homework. And the homework is this. An email is coming their way so they can get set up on CS First, and they can also join in even more lessons in January so you guys can keep coding. You'll be able to keep code in math. We're going to code in music. There's even going to be some other lessons that they're going to be invited to. But make sure your teacher does that homework, and hopefully you get to keep coding. There's also going to be a feedback form, teachers. Please fill out the feedback form. Let us know how we did. But with that, we have a couple of minutes. Students, you have two amazing Googlers right here that you can ask them questions. Maybe you want to ask questions about their work at Google. Maybe you want to ask questions about the code they just showed you. Send in those questions right now because we have time to get to know these two a little bit more. Let's start. First of all, one of the questions I always want to know, let's start with you, Ernest. What coding languages do you speak? What coding languages do you use?
Yeah, my work is a little bit different now, but the program that I help run is all in C++, Java, and Python. So I need to know how to speak all three of those.
That's great. And students out there, like you guys are all learning Scratch, which the concepts are similar. It won't take much. And teachers, if you've got students in your class that know other coding languages, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Becca, coding languages for you.
Yeah, so I do work for the web, which means that I use HTML and CSS and JavaScript, and more recently TypeScript, which is like a more advanced version of JavaScript.
Wow. Okay. And so this question just came in from 6C in Liscar. How long have you been coding? So Becca, let's go to you. When did you start coding? How old were you?
Yeah, so I probably started coding around the time I was like 12, probably about the age that some of y'all are, because I started coding with Scratch and it's great for beginners.
That's so great. And now you're coding at Google. Very cool. All right, Ernest, how about you? How old were you when you started coding?
I started my junior year of high school, so I was like 16. Now I'm 26, so about 10 years.
Wow. But a little bit later, right? Like it doesn't take much to pick it up and learn no matter how old you are.
It's never too late. Never.
That's great. Okay, let's go. We've got Miss Noble's class. It's actually Christian in Miss Noble's class is asking, why do people code? That's a long probably answer question, but Ernest, let's go to you first. What's one reason why people might code?
So I fell in love with coding because you are only limited by your imagination and your creativity, right? And like the concept that I could write a few lines of code and I can impact thousands, if not millions, if not billions of people on a daily basis was mind blowing to me. So I just love the amount of impact I could have with some lines of code, and it affects people on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Becca, how about you? Why might people code?
Yeah, so I started coding because I wanted to make video games because I loved video games as a kid, and CS First and Scratch are a great platform for doing that stuff. And video games are completely built out of code. You've got code, you've got images and sounds, but all of the like logic and gameplay, that's all programming. So that's why I got into it.
Yeah, and you're kind of alluding to this next question that just came in from Mrs. McGuire, student in Mrs. McGuire's class. How might students apply coding in real life? Like, let's say maybe they're not actually coding, but what concepts apply to real life? Let's start with you, Becca.
Yeah, so programming, a lot of it is about teaching the computer to do things in order to take the proper steps to achieve what you want the computer to do. And that's something that you have to do every day in real life. Whenever you're planning a school project, whenever you're playing a game with friends, whenever you're playing a board game or a video game, you have to do things in the right order and plan out the steps you're going to do. So programming helps you learn how to do that systematically to be able to apply that to all sorts of things.
Step by step by step by step. Ernest, anything else to add on that, the real life applications?
Yeah, since we're talking about impacting millions and billions of people with some code, right? You need to think about how whatever application you're writing, whatever code you're writing, how that can affect people from all different kinds of backgrounds, right? No matter how young or how old they are, no matter what language they speak, for instance, you want to make sure that the code is useful for every kind of person. So I think it's a real way to bring it back to real life on how you can benefit code.
Yeah, just taking in all those perspectives as well. That's perfect. Love it. Oh my gosh, we have so many questions coming in. Let's just see. We had a couple of classes ask. So this was 6AB in Lisgar, as well as the 4-H STEM squad is here. But they asked, what additional background do you need and entry to universities or college? So what kind of background do you need to be able to then code for your job? Let's go, Ernest, to you.
Yeah, I feel like everyone thinks that you need to be like a mathematical whiz or a genius to be a coder. All you really need to do is enjoy problem solving. If you like to see a problem and figure out a cool, creative solution to that problem, that is the strongest skill set that you need to be a good computer scientist or good software engineer. So that coupled with like just not backing down. Don't be scared to take a challenging problem and face it head on. And if you fail, that's completely fine. You learn from your mistakes and you keep moving forward.
Makes perfect sense. Becca, let's go to you for your feedback on that.
Yeah, so talking to some of the older students in the audience, I know there's a lot of communication about like, oh, you have to be doing programming in your free time. You have to have side projects if you want to be a coder that works at like a big company. And that is not necessarily the case. Like I have plenty of coworkers that decided to switch to CS halfway through college. They didn't do it before that. They learned in college, all of these wonderful things. So I think the most important thing is just finding what you're interested in and sticking with it once you find it. You don't need to be like stressing out about it while you already are working on school and all those other things.
Love that. Yeah, if you love it, it doesn't feel like work, really, does it? Wow. Okay, well, we've got the homework for the teachers. We've gotten a few questions answered. Thank you, students and teachers, for those questions. Before we let Becca and Ernest leave us, though, I'd love to hear from them, kind of their final words of wisdom, knowing what they know now. Ernest, what would be your final word for our students out there?
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to me like 10-year-old me or 15-year-old me that I would be working at one of the largest tech companies in the world, I would have thought you were crazy. But really, like leaning on my community, leaning on my parents and my sister that supported me, and not being scared to face those challenges I was speaking about earlier. Like it's a skill set to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Keep tackling those problems, keep pushing through because all the hard work that you put into whatever you're trying to do in life will pay off. So just keep working at it and it's going to pay off.
Yeah, it is. It's so true. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Becca, your final words.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing for like success in life is finding something that you're a little bit good at and then sticking with it, like Ernest was saying. Like finding something that you enjoy and that you're willing to do every day and get better at it over time and really find that joy from life, that thing that you enjoy. So
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, hopefully, students, you enjoyed taking part in this lesson. I know I sure did. I would like to, before we let Ernest and Becca go, like, students, can we get just a huge round of applause for Ernest and for Becca for joining us today? I put them on the spot to code. I put them on the spot to answer questions, and you guys both did beautifully. So thank you so much for being here. Teachers, hopefully you've registered and you're going to join us tomorrow. We have artificial intelligence and applied digital skills. So hopefully you will join in for that. And then we have a developer panel, even more Googlers joining us tomorrow and Wednesday. So we hope you'll be here. Katie and Guillaume will be here. Thanks to them working in the background. Oh my gosh. Thank you to everyone at Google and the Gather team who we've been working with for months to put this together. We couldn't do it without this giant team effort, but last person to thank, students. Take a look at your teacher right now. Thank your teacher for allowing you to be a part of this and to code in your classroom. We wish you all the best. Hope you continue coding on and on. So in the words of Sandy Curry, we'll end things off with, happy coding, everyone.